It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News. On this, the third day of March 2020, I'm coming to you from Forest, Virginia and Bedford County. It's kind of a rainy, windy day again. Not too bad weather-wise. But anyway, we're here for our regular edition of Travel and Cruise Industry News. If you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. We do this every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, if anything major happens in the meantime, we'll break in with a special edition or breaking news or whatever the case may be. So we regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you'd like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, my interview show called Chillie Chats, Chillie Cruises Deal of the Day now, which is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and of course this news show on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Just hit that little subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner, and the bell notification will let you know when I go live or when something new is posted in the way of videos. And Tina Turtle, that's Tina Turtle back there, folks. That's Tina Turtle. Tina Turtle will appreciate if you subscribe to this channel. She likes subscribers. So, and let's see, Gretchen's here bright and early this morning. Good morning, Gretchen. Good to see you as always. Let's get right to the top story this morning. Has to deal with the Bahamas. You know, I'm a major supporter of the Bahamas and their rebuilding efforts. We've done a lot of things on this channel to help with that. But I've found an interesting story. It's been an ongoing story for some time now, where the Storm-ravaged Bahamas is rebuilding its power grid with emphasis on solar energy, which I find this to be extremely interesting. Exactly 6 months ago, Hurricane Dorian slammed into the northern Bahamas. It was the 5th Category 5 Atlantic hurricane in 3 years. Before that, there hadn't been a single Cat 5 storm in over a decade. So there appears to be a growing consensus among scientists that climate change is what's making hurricanes stronger and more destructive. And folks, as always, I'm making no political statement on this. I stay as unbiased on anything as possible and simply report information as it comes to me. But anyway, the destructiveness of the storms is bad news for the Bahamas, which is basically 700 low-lying islands stretching from close to Florida nearly down to Cuba, in the heart of what's become known as Hurricane Alley. But the Bahamas have found a ray of hope, specifically a solar array that can help its island survive future hurricanes. And in the process, it may have important lessons for the rest of the world as Mother Nature continues to blow devastating storms like Hurricane Dorian. The sustained winds of 185 miles an hour with gusts above 200 and a storm surge of over 20 feet, Dorian just basically wiped out the Abacos and other islands around that, did tremendous damage to Freeport. There's just not enough words in the dictionary to describe what Hopetown looked like after the storm, said a correspondent by the name of Bill Whitaker. Vernon Malone, who's made Hopetown his home for 82 years, said basically the town baker, he was the town's baker and grocer, and he and his wife rode out the storm in the store. It survived, but their home right up the street was gone. And there's story after story after story just like that all over the islands of the damage done. So one of the major problems was getting power back. And there's still, folks, there's still areas over there with little or no power. I mean, they're making some steps and they're doing some of the right things for now and in the future, but there's still areas that have nothing. So it continues to be a burden on everybody trying to get the northern part of the islands back in business. The Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, said, you know, but the main question is, where do you begin? He recently was in Marsh Harbor and announced that they had determined this to make a determination to set up microgrids, which is using solar power. The microgrids are small scale systems. More and more, they're solar arrays with battery storage for when the sun's not shining. They can either feed electricity into the larger grid or operate independently to power a single facility or a neighborhood. And of course, one of the problems is with the cost. In Abaco, the main power plant for the island is literally 25 miles south of Abaco. That's 25 miles of line that had to be rebuilt, which of course, again, is a major cost. So that's where a lot of the money is going, is they have to rebuild from everything, because this storm, folks, it wiped out not only the power stations, it wiped out all the poles. I mean, it leveled them all. They're just gone. So there was no way, even if you could generate the power, to get it to people. So you go back to 2017 and they started trying to develop solar energy and began with building these arrays. So the target was for Abaco was to build a 15-acre microgrid. And that would satisfy 10% of Marsh Harbor's power needs. We're not even talking about all of it, but it's 10%. And it would be built between the government center and the hospital right there, not 25 miles away, which is on high ground, which will make it a little less vulnerable in the future if another storm hits. So that's what they began to do, and began to build this power grid, like you see there in that picture. And basically, it's these solar panels like this that convert the sun into electricity, and then it's stored in just Jagunda-style batteries until it's used. So it's an interesting effort. Everything costs more in the islands. The bill to install one solar microgrid is about $3 million. That's for a small one. That's not talking a major 15-acre one. So it's expensive, but it's possible that Great Abaco could have a solar array of about 18 acres. The power is piped through, preferably from a new undersea cable to the island, and that could be the main source of power. So the Bahamas' goal is to produce 30% of its energy from renewable sources by 2030. So they're not there yet, folks. but they're certainly getting there, and they're certainly taking steps to do this right in the long run, and that's a good sign. Yeah, there's still the need of the brick and mortar, putting up the poles and rebuilding the power stations and all that business, and the wires and all that crap. But I think the solar system could help them on down the road and maybe make the next hurricane less damaging. So I think it's good that the government of the Bahamas is involved in this, and they're working with world organizations trying to get funding for this. Our government should be helping with that as well, but they're getting there. So good for them. All right, let's take a quick break, and I'll be back in a second. Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scoot-Around. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scoot-Around for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise. Okay, got the commercial message out of the way from our friends over at Scoot-Around. Speaking of Scoot-Around, everybody knows that I'm planning on going to Alaska. And now there seems to be some possible questions on cruising to Alaska this year, because of the situation in Seattle. I think it's way too early to get worried about that, folks. I am not changing my plans yet. Of course, watching the situation closely in Seattle, and seeing what's going to happen with Alaska cruises this year. Obviously, Seattle and Vancouver are the two main ports. And if you do have problems with one of the ports, it could really screw up Alaska sailing season for this year. But let's wait it out. No need to make any rash decisions. No need to get fired up on this until it's actually a problem, which is not yet. So I'm making no plans on changing anything at this time. All right, we talked about the Scarlet Lady from Virgin Voyages. We've done several things about that. Virgin Voyages canceled their previous plans of going to New York, and they're diverting the transatlantic crossing of the Scarlet Lady to their home port in Miami. They should be in Miami later this week, ready to receive their first paying guests on March the 17th. It was obviously a difficult decision for Virgin because there was a lot of influencers in the travel industry. I was not one of them, so I'm not considered an influencer, who had been invited to do a similar thing that our friend Emma did last weekend and over there and on the other side of the pond, which a number of our friends were on. Our European friends were on the Scarlet Lady last weekend. Now we're going to do the same thing in New York this next weekend, but now because of the global health situation, they're bypassing New York and going straight to Miami. So that's the latest from the folks at Virgin Voyages on the Scarlet Lady. A rather disturbing story came out yesterday. And this apparently has been going on for a while and just didn't know about it. Princess Cruises has announced that a hacker managed to access that's not what I wanted. Where is it? I lost my place. Here it is. Princess Cruises has announced that a hacker managed to gain access to some important employee email accounts, and as a result, some passenger information was obtained. This went back all the way to 2019 in May, according to a press release. Princess Cruises identified a series of deceptive emails sent to employees, resulting in unauthorized third-party access to some employee email accounts. The company acted quickly to shut down the attack and prevent further unauthorized access. It also retained a major cybersecurity firm to investigate the matter while reinforcing security and privacy protocols to further protect the systems and the information. So basically, this hacker got access to some emails and then started getting some information. The investigation revealed unauthorized third-party access to certain employee records. Although the company had not a whole lot to say about it, this is a process called phishing. And apparently they've gotten the problem taken care of. I don't know that any arrests or anything have been made, but if you have any problems with that, in their press release, they give you a number to call and that kind of thing if you know of anything about this and want to give up the information. So Princess Cruise Line was at some point in time in 2019 was hacked. Not a very secure thing to happen, but I guess in today's world that can happen. The other thing that I wanted to talk about this morning, Carnival and all their 9 cruise brands are taking new measures to keep the community on the ships safe and healthy. But even sick guests and those who have traveled in impacted countries are encouraged to return once they've recovered. Of the 9 cruise brands under the Carnival umbrella, it's implemented an enhanced screening process due to the concerns over the health issues, and guests who are deemed unable to board at a terminal will get all of their money back. On top of that, we're told that sick guests will be reimbursed for transportation, and bonus, they will get 20% credit for a future cruise. That's pretty decent consolation if they're sick. As far as other precautions, Carnival's working with the WHO to update screening procedures. In addition, anyone who's traveled to China, Hong Kong, South Korea, Macau within 14 days of their cruise will not be allowed to sail. There's still a growing fear, and who knows if it's justified or not. More and more, despite what you continually hear, this is acting like just a flu. Actually, the regular old common flu is more serious as far as deaths at this point than all this business that started in China over the past 3 months or so. Now, who knows how badly it's going to spread? Who knows how much of it is still going rampant in this country that has not been detected yet? apparently they're saying that the situation in Seattle that's come up in the last couple of days, that may have been circulating around Seattle for some time now, but they didn't know it because it tends to be more like just a plain old regular flu that you can see until you're tested. Then it shows up in the tests. So I'm hoping that acts just like flu, and this will pass as soon as warm weather gets here, just like flu season passes. And by next year, we'll have a flu shot that will help with the whole situation again. That's what I hope. It's still possible, folks, that things might change. The whole European situation, now Italy shut down their schools. The cruise industry over there is going to get decimated for the rest of this year. Now there's some growing fears about Alaska for this year. Again, I'm not a proponent of being afraid of this thing yet. Yes, I'm cautious. I'm watching it, but I'm not going to make any major changes until the time comes, and we shall see. So that's my take on it again this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it today. I will be back again. Let's see. What is today? Tuesday. Today's election day in Virginia, or primary day in Virginia if you're a Democrat. So happy voting to my Democratic friends in Virginia. It'll be interesting to see what Super Tuesday results in the Democratic primaries. So we'll see. So anyway, that's it for today, folks. I'll be back again on Thursday, or if something major happens between now and then, I'll be back tomorrow with our Chillie Cruises deal of the day and anything else that gets done. I'm working on several videos that hopefully will get posted this week and get those up and available to all of you folks. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the story on the solar energy in the Bahamas. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching today's travel and cruise industry news. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.